This is John Murphy at Murtech.com with your daily news update. All right, here we are on June the 6th in the year of our Lord 2026. That would be 6626. Okay, we have some good information for you tonight. So let's just jump over here to Murtech on Rumble. This is my Rumble channel. This is the video we're going over tonight, episode 1940. It says upcoming, but as you know, you are actually watching it. So let's jump into this. And hi, Viper Senior. Glad you could join us. Yeah, Rumble 3 today. All right. There you go. Are those Mutleys? All righty then. My 13 pugs are dancing. Okay. Great deal. All right, let's slide down here and hit the show more button to expand out the description box. And we have information from And We Know, Black Conservative Perspective, Dr. Steve Turley, and Devory Darkins. But before we get into that, I do need to give some shout outs here to Bunny2323, just started following my channel. Lucky Clover R9 just started following my channel. Howard Logan just started following my channel. Granny99 just started following my channel. And Eugene K. Planget just started following my channel. So thank you so much, folks, for following my channel. I greatly appreciate that. I hope you're tuned in, and I hope you enjoy the content. All right, Debbie BS reposted my episode 1939. Lucky Clover R9 commented on my daily news wrap-up. Debbie BS, Viper Senior, and Cottonball 31 commented on my episode 1939 from last night. And Debbie BS commented on my extra 322A. Harold George 1234 and Debbie BS commented on my extra 722B. And Debbie BS commented on my extra 722C. So thank you very much, folks, for reposting my video and your comments. I enjoy reading your feedback, and I definitely appreciate your support. So let me give this a thumbs up, and here we go. Finally got on in time, Rumble 3 this evening. Where we go one, we go all. Good job, Viper Senior. All right, give you a thumbs up too. Okay, And We Know. Watch California, big cheating, PULTE weapon, whatever that is. Fraudsters caught daily. Hawaii, Bolton done, and pray. Okay, well, let's check this out and see what that's all about. Got a nice opening here. I thought this was good. I want to show you.
There's no mail-in ballots. You see that's what's happening in California. They're rigging the election. Now, maybe we caught them, and maybe they won't be able to get away with it. They tried with me. They did it successfully the second time. The third time, we made it too big to rig. Too many votes. They couldn't do it. They can only go. They sort of gave up at about 9:07, where they got slaughtered with the votes that came in.
And so this morning, the Inspector General, in coordination with the task force, exercised his statutory obligation to end the grants being paid to Hawaii, to make sure that money that goes out the door to the states is going to actually fight fraud.
Good morning. What is the FBI doing to combat fraud? It's pretty simple. We follow the money.
You're right here. You're right here on record saying, no, I'll admit it.
No, I did not admit it. The president never would agree to send the National Guard. Don't waste your time or mine on you.
Can you see it? Did you catch what President Trump said about California and all of the stolen elections? Do you know who has been assigned to look into it? Did you catch the fraud uncovered again and the force behind catching the fraudsters? Scott Bessent was on point again. So good to watch this play out for we the people day after day. Man, incredible. We're more than 500,000 followers on Rumble. Thank you for that, folks, and hitting that follow button. Also, that like button got us to number 2 right next to Dan Bongino yesterday. So hitting that like button helps us get to the top of the leaderboard, puts more eyes on this show, and we really appreciate all of you guys. Remember, we've got gear at andweknow.com or shop.
You know, this country needs a fair press. And one thing I think that's done is expose how corrupt our media is. And I really do, while we're here, I hope the media looks at this election that's taking place in California, where they think it'll take 7 or 8 days to count the votes. Can you believe this? I mean, they spend all that money on the machines, the big voting machines. They think it's going to be 7 or 8 days before we know who won the election. But the numbers are looking strange because without any vote counting, the numbers dropped very precipitously for 2 Republicans that are doing well, that had been doing well. And I hope you're all watching it because I'm watching it very closely.
Yep, put out again, Il Donaldo Trumpo burner account for President Trump with that background music. Now let's continue with some other comments that President Trump made.
So the Save America Act is all voters must show photo ID.
Save America Act, he continues to bring it up.
So you go to vote and you show photo ID. Not complicated, right? You know, who could oppose it? They say it's an 80-20. It's not. It's about 99-1, and we'll never find the one person. Andy, congratulations, Andy, on a big victory.
Thank you for your help.
I appreciate it, but you're very good at what you do, and I've been backing you right from the beginning for a long time, right?
Backing you too, sir.
For years, that's right. You have. Thank you. Congratulations. You won a big election. So you have all voters must show photo ID identification. All voters must show a little thing called proof of citizenship. Would you say that's 99-1, Mr. Pennsylvania?
I would say that's maybe 100 to 0.
I would think so.
At least it should be.
No, but they say it's 80-20. It's not 80-20. It's 99. And we've never found the one person. There's another one. Then you have no mail-in ballots, but we want to be liberal, as they say. Or we'll say we want to be progressive. So it's no mail-in ballots. You see that's what's happening in California. They're rigging the election. Now
I'm going to pause here for a second to show you something that has been playing out on social media. The ballots in California, since you brought up California, they're actually arriving by helicopter.
The LA County Sheriff's Department is flying in ballots from vote centers across the region.
You can see the choppers landing right now. We're standing in the parking lot of the LA County Registrar's Ballot Processing Center.
The processing center, LA County Processing Center. The Ballot Processing Center, the LA County Registrar's Ballot Center. So bring them all to one place where we can handle them, scan them again, probably 5 times over so we can get all the votes that we need in one spot. So we don't have to cheat in other locations. Just bring them all in. Put them on helicopters. Bring them in. It's emergency.
Maybe we caught them and maybe they won't be able to get away with it.
President Trump, maybe we caught them. Maybe they won't be able to get away with it. It's amazing how he just kind of says that.
They tried with me. They did exactly the second time. The third, we made it to votes. They can only go. They sort of gave up at about 9 or 7 where they got slaughtered with the votes that came in. But no mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military, or travel. So we're being very progressive. And we just don't want cheating in our elections. And you see it happening in California. Those numbers are coming down rapidly. They found a lot of mail-in ballots last night, shockingly.
Yeah. I love how he's bringing it up. That's good.
So we don't want that.
We don't want
it. Added best of. This is best of Trump. No men in women's sports. No transgender mutilation surgery for our children.
Yep, he continues to go there. The White House said no more games past the Save America Act without delay. Again,
now I want to just jump in here right at this point. Well, they're talking about election fraud, integrity, whatever. Now, okay, just step back. And some of these states, it's same-day registration and voting. so you can register and vote on the same day. All right? So what's to stop a plane load from Russia or China or wherever, or multiple plane loads of people coming in on election day, registering and voting for whoever, like Scam Dami in New York, and then leaving, or staying around for a couple of days and having a nice vacation and then leaving? What's to stop that from happening? It's unbelievable. Who would not want, unless it's a person that is benefiting from the fraud, not want election integrity to show voter ID and proof of citizenship? Only American citizens should be voting in these elections. Don't you agree? Let me know in the comments or the chat.
Voters must show photo ID. It's so simple. Voters must show proof of citizenship, no mail-in ballot except for illness, disability, military, or travel, no men and women's sports, no transgender, mutilation surgery for our children. They voted down the Save America Act again that would have required voter ID to vote in elections. It's what 86% of Americans want. The Republicans who said no, Tom Tillis, Lisa Murkowski, Mitch McConnell, and Susan Collins. They're not the only ones doing some shady voting. I saw this just kind of go off the freeway for a second for an exit here. Look at this.
Man, all these Republicans voting to send more money to Ukraine.
19 Republicans. Clay Higgins keeping us updated. I scroll down. I try to find out, who is. So people are asking Grok, Chat, GTP, and other places. Hey, who are these folks? The Republicans with the state that voted. Folks are posting them. I'm scroll down a little bit more so you guys can see a list that people are putting together. This is Ukraine vote, sending them money, even though our country's hurting and all the things that are going on. Continue to send money over to another country so that they can do what? Remember, a lot of the money that went to Ukraine went right back to the Democrats' pockets. So here we are. Don Bacon, Rob Bresnahan, Pennsylvania, Mike Carey, Ohio, Brian Fitzpatrick, Pennsylvania, Andrew Garbarino, in case you guys are listening, and this is your area, New York, Carlos Jimenez, Florida, Jeff Hurd, Colorado, David Joyce, Ohio, Jen Kiggins, Virginia, Nick Loda, New York, Mike Waller, New York, Mike McCall, Texas, Max Miller, Ohio, Dan Newhouse, Washington, Glenn Thompson, Pennsylvania, Mike Turner, Ohio, Joe Wilson, South Carolina. It looks like, again, Don Bacon from Nebraska. So all you guys just want to make sure you're aware what's going on. This uniparty system continues to move forward and go against all of us. Now, I wanted to show you another thing very interesting as this has all been playing out. This was just posted, Dan Scavino Jr. He was responding to Ebrahim Zizi. He said, is the evacuation of nearly 9,000 Americans and the destruction of your military bases in the region AI? Dan Scavino responded with the Iranian Navy at the bottom of the ocean and this song. Yeah, that's Nessun Dorma. Great response. And he waited to post it till a specific time. What time was that? Oh, 23:58 military time. 23:58, if you go to the Intel board, the Q board, happens to match a lot of what's going on. D's playbook, midterms. Oh, yeah, midterms. How about that? We will impeach Justice Kavanaugh. Remember that? Zero corroborating evidence for all that stuff. And then, of course, it's related to this liberal left lunacy debate. These people are evil, sick, and stupid. You're witnessing the systematic destruction of the old guard. There it is, the old guard at the bottom of the ocean. I think it all matches. That's why he waited to post it at that time. Power to the people, and then Red October. Wow, doesn't it all just fit together to keep us in the comms and understanding what's going on? Also, President Trump said, I believe we have the most dishonest election of any country anywhere in the world, President Donald J. Trump. Kimberly Hour jumped in. Hey, this is posted at 2:52 That's 1452 military time. The June 11th Delta, are we finally calling the ball? Will 2016, 2020, and 2024 midterms all collide? Will we get some martial law via national emergency so we can re-vote in person only with military oversight? Let's see what happens. Fraud vitiates everything. And then you get that post 1452. You've got the Inspector General Huber. You have more than you know. Of course, other connections. Paul Florent saw this when he mentioned, President Trump mentioned there's big cheating by the Democrats in California. Votes are all tied up, may not be in for weeks, under investigation by the U.S. Attorney's Office in Los Angeles. Why the vote counting delay? Big cheating. Can cheating be done after the polls are closed? Asked by Q. Why do some elections take more than a day to count? Who controls the poll books? Who controls the databases? Who controls the elections? Why are extra ballots printed? Will voter fraud in California ever be brought to light? Asks somebody, an anon there. Yes, Watch California was deliberate. And then we were told again, will election fraud be revealed soon? Yes, midterms are safe. Watch California. And that was posted April 19th, 2018. Of course, that big cheating with that BIG, big, in capital letters, you have that on the keyboard, the BIG. We are winning big. Trust the plan. Remember, Locked In was posted by President Trump, posting Department of War, posting that so that we can remember what exactly is going on. Now, going into the future on these elections, who's going to be in charge?
Did a great job. And it's an acting position. It's not a permanent. He's not going to be permanent because, I don't think he'd want to be permanent. But he's a very smart guy.
PULTE.
And he may find out some things about the rigged elections.
Oh, you might find out something about the rigged elections.
Et cetera, et cetera. I think he'd like to do it. I think he wants to do it very much. Got a lot of energy. But he'll be very good. Again, it's not a permanent position. Right. We're interviewing people right now.
Yeah, it's not permanent, but yeah, I think this guy's going to be looking into the elections, why they're rigged. Wow. I've got some more on this about California and just something to go back to when it comes to elections and who's out there with Rush Limbaugh from Zach Lawn, a great one post there, and all of the fraud that's being caught. You don't want to miss it. Folks, many of us want our furry best friends to thrive. At ltpetclub247.com are all natural USA made.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause this here. This video will be in my daily news wrap up tonight. He's going into a pretty lengthy commercial here, so we'll move on. Let me click on the Rumble link. Show you this video does come from And We Know. This is the video I shared with you. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Alrighty then, let's jump back here and slide on down, and let's see what. Oh wait a minute, I need to show more button collapsed on me. All right, see what Black Conservative Perspective, Chicago Bears deliver fatal blow to Democrats and woke mayor as they officially flee Chicago. Isn't that amazing? Of course, they're going to blame it on Trump, but whatever.
Oh, I don't want the Bears to leave Illinois, and I've worked very hard to make sure that they stay. Indeed, my original focus had been keeping them in the city of Chicago. They weren't able to find a property to make that happen for them in the city of Chicago. But the reality is I wasn't willing to give up billions of dollars of taxpayer money in order to give it to a billionaire-owned team, and believe very much that the incentives that we provide for businesses ought to be similar to the incentives we provide to this type of business. As much of an emotional connection as many of us have to the Bears and to keeping them in the city of Chicago or in the state of Illinois, number one principle is we're not going to foist this on the taxpayers of the state of Illinois.
A few moments later.
We begin our noon show with breaking news. The Chicago Bears taking a major step toward building a stadium in Hammond, Indiana. Good afternoon. I'm Dina Baer. The Chicago Bears Board of Directors apparently voted to advance its stadium development project in Hammond, Indiana. A statement from team chairman George H. McCaskey and president and CEO Kevin Warren shows an exact site is still to be selected. It adds they believe a world-class stadium project in Hammond will transform the region. Indiana Governor Mike Braun issued a statement very happy, saying in part, quote, "Hoosiers, help me welcome the Chicago Bears to our great state. We look forward to building a partnership as strong as the '85 Bears defense, creating opportunities and economic growth that will benefit our state and the Bears organization for decades to come. An NFL franchise in Northwest Indiana will be an economic boost to the entire region like we haven't seen before," end quote. Illinois Democratic House Speaker Emanuel Chris Welch is also responding, saying in part, quote, "While Indiana is willing to raise taxes and promise $1 billion in taxpayer funds, Illinois has focused on the needs of working families who want relief at the gas pump, at the store, and on their insurance bills, not taxpayer-funded stadiums. Illinois remains open to ongoing efforts to secure the Bears in Illinois. However, it will take time to get it right." Mayor Brandon Johnson's press office issuing this statement, saying in part, quote, "Without a final site selection, until we see shovels in the ground in Hammond, the city will continue to engage in discussions grounded in the interests of our residents," end quote.
Boy. So we got to talk about the Chicago Bears finally delivering the humiliating and fatal blow to the Democrats running Illinois and the woke mayor of Chicago, as they have basically voted to leave Illinois altogether and to move to Indiana, a red state. Okay. And we talked about this story. We followed this story closely. And one of the reasons why is because, once again, this is an example, a real life example of the difference between Democrat governance and Republican governance, right? How Republicans, at least today, are focused on creating a business-friendly, tax-friendly environment, attracting entrepreneurship, attracting jobs, attracting people, attracting growth, right? And Democrats are focused on socialism, right? They're focused on running businesses away. And you have a big business, right? A huge business in Chicago, again, been there forever, right? Decades and decades. They're leaving, right? Or it looks like it's like a very, 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 very high chance that they're going to leave unless something crazy happens at the last minute. They're out of here, right? Because again, their board of directors met and they voted to advance the stadium development project out in Hammond, Indiana. Now, last time we talked about this, right? Again, we talked about how Chicago has basically been out for a long time, even though the woke mayor claims that he's still in negotiations. They're still talking. The Bears have said, nah, we're not interested in staying in Chicago. Arlington Heights was the other spot, okay, outside of Chicago, right? The suburbs, still in Illinois. However, Democrats basically thought that the Bears were bluffing, right? When the Bears said, look, if we can't get a favorable deal, right, we can't get tax certainty, aka if we can't get a promise that you're not going to hike property taxes after the stadium is built, we want to know what we're going to pay in property taxes, and that you're not going to raise taxes on us before taking out all this debt and building this project. Democrats said, nah, we can't do that, right? We can't promise we're not going to increase taxes because they are going to increase taxes, right? That's like the only thing that we know for certain with Democrats, that they're going to increase taxes. So they couldn't give the Bears tax certainty, okay? They cannot give the Bears what they needed in order to feel comfortable moving forward with the Arlington Heights project. So now they're like, okay, well, I guess we got to leave the state altogether, right? And again, Democrats did not come to an agreement in the state legislature on getting a deal with the Bears that the Bears wanted. And again, I guess they thought that the Bears may come back to the table and they might say, okay, let's come to some type of compromise. That didn't happen. The Democrats got called on their bluff and the Bears said, we're out. And now fans are upset, right, that the Bears are leaving, and rightfully so. And Democrats are going to take the blame, right? J.B. Pritzker is going to be known as the governor that allowed the Bears to leave, okay? And the woke mayor, Brandon Johnson, is going to be the mayor of Chicago that lost the Chicago Bears. Embarrassing.
I want to make one thing abundantly clear, that Kevin Warren and the Chicago Bears are not innocent in this process whatsoever. But at the same time, one thing that they did from day one after they bought the land in Arlington Heights is they said, hey, we want to work with the Illinois government and get this done. Every single time that they went to Governor J.B. Pritzker and the Illinois government, they told them to go fuck themselves, and they slapped the Bears in the face. And now, JB, this is your legacy as Illinois governor. You are the governor that lost the Chicago Bears. As I said, you slapped the Bears in the face multiple times until these past 2 months, where you completely changed your tune because it looked like there actually was a reality of them moving to Hammond, Indiana. And you still did too little too late. As I said, Kevin Warren and the Bears, they're not innocent at the same time. They negotiated themselves into this hellhole where they were stuck here. But, JB, this is your legacy now as the Illinois governor. You lost the Chicago Bears. Bear down.
The city of Chicago had the infrastructure in place and a space available with a taxing mechanism for the Bears to stay in the city of Chicago and get a new stadium. The problem was that would not give the Bears the ability to create a stadium district around it that they controlled and therefore made revenue off of. The hope for keeping them in the state of Illinois was a place called Arlington Heights, Illinois, where the Bears own 326 acres, and they plan to build that entertainment district around the stadium. But right now, there is no taxing mechanism to help subsidize the building of a new stadium. So they would have had the control of the area around it, but they couldn't afford to build the stadium. Which leads us to Indiana, which, if we're being honest, the state of Indiana threw a bunch of money at them, a bunch of tax breaks at them, and gave them complete control and the ability to have a subsidized built stadium, control of the spots around it, the infrastructure around it, and the ability to buy that land and stadium back for $1 after the bond has been paid. So the Chicago Bears will no longer be in the city of Chicago because the owners of the Bears wanted to make money outside of the stadium. And it raises a deeper question that people are posing in the comment section, which is, am I planning to spend my money in a state like Indiana that has a state legislature that passes bills that are fundamentally against the very values that I might hold as a Chicagolander or as an Illinoisan? I don't know if those... And ultimately, this isn't unprecedented, of course. The New York Giants and the New York Jets play in East Rutherford, New Jersey. But this does feel, for Chicago, and I think as a fellow NFC North fan, really, really weird and unfortunate, and the byproduct of late-stage capitalism.
If you've been a Chicago Bears fan your whole life, I got good news for you. They are moving to Indiana. So all those years of you being loyal when they were bad, they're moving. So I'm sorry to tell you this. This whole world is being ruined by greed. And this isn't even just about football. This is about everything. Everyone is so greedy. It's incredible. I don't know what to even say about it anymore, but you know, still down until they do leave Chicago. But once they leave, I don't think I could watch them anymore. How are we feeling as true Chicago Bear fans? Are you going to watch them when they go to Indiana?
Dude, it's not like Chicago is the third biggest city in the fucking U.S. It's not like they're a major city that has fucking 5 other stadiums. Oh no, why would we build it in Chicago, dude? And it's a tax issue. It's a tax issue, but we have all these homeless people. We have all the problems with the roads. We have fucking gunshot detector thing. But no, let's not use any taxes towards the Bears, because fuck the Bears. They don't bring any happiness to Chicago. Fuck. Come on, bro. What are we doing? Like, god damn it. Oh my God. I don't know. There's no settling down. I'm going to end this video. I'm going to go get high as fuck because I don't know any other way to deal with this. God damn it, dude. I need a beef sandwich. I need a fucking blunt, and I need someone to punt. Be like, God damn it. What are we doing? All right.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, right? This is a very, very, very familiar story to me, okay? It's just very high profile. This is humiliating for Democrats for so many reasons. So without further ado, let's get into some of the reactions here, the conversations from the experts on what's going on out in Chicago and more reasons for why the Bears decided to move forward with Indiana.
Let's bring in our next guest, too. We have Mark Gaines on the line. He's from Sports Core Limited. Mark, what is your take on everything this morning?
Everything is going as I expected it would. The state of Illinois fumbled the ball, to use a sports analogy, did not pass legislation that was needed for the Bears to be able to build in Arlington Heights. And so there's only one option on the table. That option is the one in Indiana. So as long as that remains the case, and it doesn't look look like that's going to change. The I'm in Indiana.
Stadium and Finance Committee in the NFL has to approve this and vote. Do you see any issues with that, or anyone who might be opposed to that, or do you feel like this is a Chicago issue that people have a hard time grasping of them moving across state lines? And when you're talking about the league, they don't have the same feelings attached.
Yeah, your last point, very important. Look, the New York Jets and the New York Giants both play in New Jersey. The Los Angeles Rams, Los Angeles Chargers both play in Inglewood. The San Francisco 49ers play in Santa Clara. So the issue, and for many years, and to this day, the Washington Commanders play Maryland. So moving in a suburban location is really not that big of a deal, even if it's across state line in the NFL. What's most important is that it's the location, the transportation, and what the deal is itself. And by the way, we now know that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be moving across state lines into Kansas. So that's not an important issue. I will tell you that the preferred site for the NFL what happened when the city of Chicago and the mayor's office decided to muddy the waters and said there's Chicago Bears and the NFL saying only two locations, Heights for Illinois, the Hammond, Indiana area for Indiana. And for whatever reason, the state legislators, some of them, decided to believe the BS that came out of the fifth floor of City Hall and decided to go in that direction. You know what? That was foolish on their part. And Illinois is going to, I'll tell you who's going to pay a really big price for this. All those 6,000 construction workers that would have otherwise been in Illinois that are now going to go to Indiana.
Mark.
Yeah. Yeah. Indiana. Sounds like Indiana swooped in and got a great deal, right? People can say what they want. But see, a lot of these leftists, these liberals don't understand business, right? And this is why you continue to see this over and over and over again, right? Like people are trying to pretend as if, Indiana's just giving away tax money and all. It's like, no. It's called an investment, right? I know it's something that a lot of liberals don't understand because they don't invest. They're bad with their money, right? It's called an investment, right? You got to understand the Chicago Bears, they're a business entity. They're trying to make money. Indiana, the government, they also make money as well too. Yeah, it's the government, but they also do business as well too. They present a better deal, okay? Both parties are going to benefit. You're going to have all these people coming over to Indiana, a red state. They're going to get a ton of tax revenue. There's going to be a ton of growth, a ton of jobs, a ton of opportunity. And they got two NFL teams, right? And they're still in the Chicago area. So they're essentially going to be reaping the benefits of a bunch of people who live in a blue state now coming to a red state every Sunday during the fall, right? Or for most Sundays during the fall, and spending their money and their time in another state. And I know a lot of the fans are boo-hooing and crying right now. Oh, we're not going to go. We're not going to support. You go support, right? It ain't really that far away. It is really not, okay? It might be a little bit of an inconvenience, but it's fine. You're going to support. And you shouldn't blame the Bears. They're a business entity, right? They're trying to make money, okay? It ain't free to run a business, okay? It costs money. It's very capital intensive. So you got to work with other entities who are going to help improve your bottom line. And improving the bottom line is good for everybody, right? It's not about greed. This is about business.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there. And, he's right. He's right. The Democrats just don't seem to understand that. If a person has a business, they tax the shit out of them until they can't afford to run that business anymore. They increase minimum wage to the point that they can't afford to pay their employees. I guess they think the people that own these businesses, some of them are, I guess, made of money, but still, it's to the point that you got somebody that's made of money, they're not going to keep pouring money into a business and not get a return on their investment. It's just that simple. That's how they got rich to begin with. But the Democrats just keep pounding them and pounding them and pounding them, and then giving the money away to like illegal aliens free housing, free health care, free education, free cell phones, food stamps, and then an allowance on top of that. Yeah, I heard a report today that people coming into the United States that are not citizens and that has not paid a dime into Social Security are getting more from Social Security than the people that have spent all their life paying into Social Security. Yeah, that's fair. Let me click on the Rumble link here and show you that this video does come from Black Conservative Perspective. There's the video that I just shared with you. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here and see what else we have from Dr. Steve Turley. You won't believe what's about to happen to John Bolton. Whatever it isn't enough. Let's hear what he has to say.
Once again from beautiful Brazil. I'm in the capital city of Brasilia. I'm speaking at the first ever Association of Classical Christian Schools conference in Brazil. And it's absolutely stunning to see firsthand the conservative revolution that's happening here. The classical Christian school movement is absolutely exploding in Brazil. If you're not familiar with it, classical education is the same education that all of our founding fathers had. It centers on the great books, great ideas, Latin, places theology as the integrative center for curriculum. It's the most conservative education you can get. And in just 8 years, Brazil has gone from having 0 classical schools to now having upwards of 40 or 50 with thousands of students and thousands more on waiting lists to get in. It is simply miraculous to see what's happening here. And speaking of miraculous, it has officially begun. One of the single most prominent figures of the deep state has fallen. John Bolton, former national security advisor, one of the fiercest Trump critics, darling of the never Trump crowd, has just agreed to plead guilty. And the irony is so thick you can cut it with a knife. Remember, this is the man who spent years screaming on CNN and MSNBC about Trump's supposed abuse of power. He has just admitted in federal court that he was the one abusing power. He was the one committing crimes. Now, if you remember, last October, a federal grand jury indicted John Bolton on 18 counts. 8 of those counts involved the unlawful transmitting of national defense information, and 10 counts involved lawfully retaining that information, having classified documents in his personal possession, all violations of the Espionage Act. The DOJ alleged that Bolton stored thousands of pages of classified, top secret material at his home in Bethesda, Maryland. He used personal AOL and Google email accounts to send over 1,000 pages of diary-like entries, stuffed with top secret intelligence to 2 family members who, of course, had 0 security clearance. We're talking intelligence about foreign adversaries, foreign relations, sources, methods, the stuff that in the wrong hands could literally get people killed. And keep in mind, this is the same guy who was doing cartwheels on CNN after the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago based on similar charges, even though the President of the United States has ultimate classification and clearance authority. They raided the former president's home for a crime he legally and constitutionally cannot conceivably commit. Precisely because he, as president, is the one with ultimate clearance and classification authority. Now, it just still boggles my mind that anyone could have taken seriously that the deep state has authority over the president. And that's exactly what John Bolton was arguing every single day in the aftermath of the Mar-a-Lago raid. On all the fake news networks, he was celebrating and defending the FBI raid and claiming that Trump had committed crimes that he could not possibly constitutionally commit. And my, oh my, have the tables now turned.
While Trump unleashes a political reckoning,
okay,
there
let me,
is
get
another.
Past this commercial here. Get back to the. news story about John Bolton, that cork biter.
Shipping when you give him a call. So once again, that number is 888-597-0233.
It was just announced that Bolton has agreed to plead guilty to a single count of retaining classified information. His rearraignment is scheduled for June 26th. The deal includes a jaw-dropping $2 million fine and up to 5 years in prison. The final decision will rest with a federal judge, but in the end, Bolton's attorneys clearly realized that there was no way he was going to escape this. Bottom line, Bolton caved because he had no defense. Simply put, he got caught. He got caught storing thousands of pages of classified top secret material at his home, a clear and unambiguous violation of the Espionage Act. And then, to make matters worse, he compounded those felonies by sharing the material with family members who, of course, had no security clearance whatsoever, which created additional crimes. And he used unsecured email. He used a freaking AOL email account at that to send those classified documents to family members. I mean, this was as blatant as it could possibly get. He was caught red-handed. And the irony in all of this, with the legacy media so hell-bent on you not knowing, is that it was none other than Joe Biden's Justice Department that originally launched the criminal investigation into Bolton after intelligence agencies discovered that of all nations, Iran had hacked his computer and accessed sensitive information that damaged national security. Bolton's personal email was compromised by a cyber actor believed to be associated with the Islamic Republic of Iran. And again, to make matters worse, to compound, Bolton didn't fully disclose that to the FBI. He never told them that the hackers held top secret information because of him. And that negligence is exactly why this case was opened in 2022 under Biden, under AutoPen. So this entire case could not possibly have been better suited for our first successful prosecution of one of the most prominent members of the deep state. Now, I think there are two major takeaways from all of this. First and foremost, this is a textbook case of what happens when TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, override common sense and self-preservation. Bolton served as Trump's national security advisor from 2018 to September 2020. And he took that position and he immediately wrote a book attacking the president. He became a fixture of liberal media, and he positioned himself as the noble whistleblower, all for his own financial gain. And all along, he was sitting, as it turns out, on a time bomb, illegally hoarding classified documents and sharing top secret intelligence with family members through personal email accounts. But because he was so fixated with destroying Trump, that obsession distracted him from the fact that he was the one breaking the law. Obviously so. Why on earth would he so blatantly break the law, all the while literally putting himself in front of news cameras every single day? I mean, being a member of the deep state at least used to mean that you were above accountability. You dictated the laws everyone else was subject to while you recused yourself from those laws. But Bolton's transgressions were so blatant that he crossed the line from arrogance to actual obsessive cluelessness. He was so deranged with TDS that he ended up basically building his own gallows. So that's the first takeaway. Arrogance and TDS are lethal combination of the more prominent members of the deep state. The second big takeaway is that once again, the legacy media has egg all over their pathetic lying faces. When Bolton was indicted, the New York Times accused Trump of retribution. It was literally in their headline. Axios compared it to Stalin's secret police. CNN called it a blatant abuse of power. Every single pathetic propagandist legacy media outlet ran with the exact same narrative without evidence because, of course, it fit their preferred template. Trump as tyrant, his critics as martyrs. And now the most prominent martyr of them all, Bolton, has just pled guilty. Talk about humility. Talk about eating crow. The legacy media has just proven once again that they are shameless shills for left-wing propaganda and nothing more. So what's Bolton's fate? Well, on June 26, he appears in federal court and formally enters his guilty plea. He'll be fined over $2 million, one of the steepest in a case like this. A prison sentence will be capped at 5 years under the plea deal. His legal team is going to obviously argue for 0, but a U.S. district judge will have the final call on that. But had he gone to trial with all 18 counts, with each carrying 10 years, I mean, he could have faced the rest of his life behind bars. So clearly he blinked, which means that maybe this is the biggest takeaway of them all. The deep state can be brought down. It is not invincible. Justice does move slowly, but it moves. And it just took down one of the deep state's most prominent and arrogant members. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section below. And as always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button.
All right, there you go, folks. And sounds like good news to me. You know, let me click on the Rumble link here and show you that this video does come from Dr. Steve Turley. This is the video I shared with you. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. And yes, the justice system does move slow. It does move slow, but this is one that is paying the price. And it's about freaking time. What do you think? All right, Devory Darkins, key witness drops dark update in Karmelo Anthony murder trial. Let's check this out from Devory Darkins.
In a stunning admission, the supporters of Karmelo Anthony in this murder trial are screaming that this is all racism. But wait till you hear their reasoning when Savannah Hernandez interviews them in person. Also, New York legislators, they're looking to change the definitions once again of mother and father. And what is going on in the election system in California, we'll talk about that as well. Let's start with this first clip from Savannah. Look at this.
If evidence does come out that Karmelo was not in fact fighting for his life when he stabbed and killed Austin Metcalf, do you think that the Black community will accept that?
If evidence shows that he did not, no, we're going to stand by ours regardless. They stand by theirs. We're going to stand by ours regardless. I'm a mother first. I'm a Black mother. Let me put that on there. I'm an African-American mother. So I have to put away my color first and step into the motherhood. Nobody wants to see their child slain. So I do want to send prayers to Austin Metcalf, their family. But at the end of the day, I got to think like, okay, what did you do to him or whatever to cause this to happen, the reaction? We got to start taking accountability for our kids.
Yeah. All right. So shout out to Savannah Hernandez, and let's just go ahead and call it what it is. They don't care about the truth. It doesn't even matter. The fact that he's Black, that's all I need to know. I don't care if he intentionally wanted to murder Austin Metcalf. I don't care if he didn't even consider self-defense. I don't care if he's completely guilty in the eyes of the law. We need to defend him at all costs. And the question is this: how can you call that justice, but in the same breath demand justice from other people in this country? It just doesn't make sense to me. What type of people, what type of community would think that way?
Because then again, if my kid, that's why it's a catch-22. If my kid was Karmelo and I feel like his back was up against the wall, well, I'm going to tell you straight up, better mine than yours. Better mine than yours. So either way it go, everybody loses. A Black boy allegedly murdered, and I say allegedly, heavy on the allegedly murdered somebody. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, this is about race. Because if the shoe was on the other foot, they wouldn't give a damn.
And here's the other thing about this particular opinion from this woman. She doesn't even know the facts of the case. So she's in front of a camera, in front of a microphone, spewing this type of opinion, which is rooted in ignorance, and hasn't even taken time to actually look at the witness statements, which we're going to show you here shortly, where there was a key witness in the case today that testified that clearly contradicts what the defense's case is rooted on, which is self-defense. But she doesn't care about that. Why? Because he's black. Is that what we're going to do as a country? It doesn't matter about accountability. What matters is that the person is black, so screw it. Yeah, it's uncommon times, as I put it.
I come out here every Thursday and we pray for people going to court because we know this is the final frontier of racism and it's legalized here.
It was announced yesterday that there's no black jurors that were chosen. What are your thoughts on that?
That's why we need God. That's why we need God, and that's why he's going to show who's in control.
And would you be open to giving us your personal insights into the Karmelo Anthony trial and what your thoughts are on it?
I just want justice done. You know, we know nobody go to a track meet to murder anybody, okay? Come on. That's an accident, self-defense, that's what it was. I'm not saying the kid should get off free, but first-degree murder? Come on.
All right, hold on. If I understand him correctly, we can't have it both ways. You can't argue that no one goes to a track meet to murder someone, but at the same time, Karmelo Anthony assumed that he was about to get murdered by Austin Metcalf, which is why he killed him first. So how do we square that logic exactly? And that's the thing that stands out to me the most. What made, and according to the reporting that I've seen since this first kicked off, I did not hear or see or read anything that led me to believe that if I was Karmelo Anthony, that I also would have pulled out a knife and stabbed someone in the chest. I wouldn't have done that. So what prompted him to do that exactly? Again, that's going to be up to his attorneys to figure out how to, I guess, explain that to the jury. But it's not racist.
Basically, he's facing the wrong charge for the crime that was committed.
Do you think Karmelo is innocent? Do you feel like it's been an unfair response to what happened to Karmelo Anthony?
I feel that the justice system always over-respond when it comes to us. So definitely, I mean, you look at the charge. It was self-defense. He was wrestling with two guys. I don't know what the parameters of it, but it was two people. So, you know, 2 against 1, that's self-defense.
But you see, a case like this is going to be a great learning lesson for a lot of people, especially people of Texas. Because if a teenager is at a football game and 2 other teenagers walk up to him and they're about to get into a fight, one teenager pulls out a gun and shoots both of them, is that self-defense? That's a great question. That is a really good question. Now, because I'm thinking back when I was a high schooler, I don't think that would be self-defense, but maybe I'm wrong. And by the way, I'm not the attorney. So I didn't see in the reporting, as I continue to say, that he was on the ground, that they were choking him out. It didn't even get to that. And so it was, hey, I'm going to remove you from this place because you shouldn't be sitting here. It wasn't like, if you don't move, I'm going to kill you. That wasn't the threat that came from Austin Metcalf. So that's where I'm having a hard time saying, oh, this is without question self-defense. And again, this should not be a racial issue. This should be an issue. What is the definition of self-defense in the state of Texas? Because we know, depending on the state you're in, that definition could definitely be different.
Police say the fight started because Anthony was under another team's tent and Metcalf told him to leave. Anthony's defense attorneys say he stabbed Metcalf, who was unarmed, out of fear as a group was, quote, turning on him. But prosecutors yesterday in court showed jurors surveillance footage they say tells a different story. The footage, it's grainy and shot from a distance, but reporters inside the courtroom tell us it shows a brief confrontation between Anthony and Metcalf, not a larger group, before Anthony runs from the scene. And that fight, it only lasted about 4 minutes or so. Jurors heard emotional testimony from Metcalf's track coach. He said that Metcalf was helping lead setup efforts that day, which basically means he was in charge of setting up the tent and equipment. The coach testified and said athletes don't just go under other teams' tents. This is something that's understood between the athletes. This case, it's drawn national attention with race becoming a major issue. The final jury does not include any black jurors. prosecutors say this case has nothing to do with race and it should be decided on the facts.
Okay, there's no shortage of opinions on this particular case, all right? There's going to be people who say this is a racial issue. Black people are being made example of. The justice system is against them once again, and Karmelo Anthony is the latest example of that, okay? And then there are other people like myself who I'm more focused on the definition of self-defense in the state of Texas. And so why don't we go to one of the journalists that are there on the ground reporting from what's happening in the courtroom. She goes on to say this: the judge just told the media not to identify the current witness because he's a minor. The witness says Karmelo Anthony was asked at least 15 times to leave their tent. Anthony refused to leave. The teen says no one ganged up on Karmelo. Witness adds that Karmelo was provoking Austin. Witness says Austin Metcalf pushed Karmelo, but it wasn't a hard push. That's when Karmelo pulled the knife from his backpack and stabbed Austin. He adds Karmelo tossed the weapon and ran off. The 911 call placed by the witness was then played. So that doesn't sound like, Karmelo Anthony was in trouble. His life was truly threatened by a group of people. They had him pinned down, and he had no choice but to pull out his knife. Okay, that's not what I'm hearing here.
Only good cracker is a dead cracker. 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 Only good cracker is a dead cracker.
Besides the tragedy itself, I would argue what you just heard there is truly disturbing. So you're over there wanting justice for Karmelo Anthony, but in the same breath, essentially suggesting that white people who are killed is a good thing. So where's the justice in that exactly? And obviously you can't take people like that seriously, but these people are a problem. They add to why there's a certain level of divisiveness regarding racial issues in America, because they eat up the propaganda. Now, I don't believe in any of that stuff. I wasn't raised that way, and that might be the difference maker there. It always goes back to parenting, right? My mother never made it about race. She made it about character. She made it about competence, and she ultimately always made it about common sense. And I would argue what you just saw in that clip is so far away from common sense, it's not even funny. Now, speaking of common sense or the lack thereof, let's go to New York, as the legislator, Democrats are pushing a bill that would replace the language in the law, also known as the word mother, replacing that word with the term gestating parent. Or
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause this, but I'm going to add this to my daily news wrap up so that you can hear the rest of this. I'm like halfway through this video, 10 minutes into this 22-minute video. Let me click on the Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Devory Darkins. This is a video I shared with you. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing with me. Let me make sure. There we go. Save that in my playlist for my daily news wrap up. Alrighty, let's get back here. And great information, folks. Let me go ahead. A lot of good comments tonight. Let me copy these into a lot of good chats. Let me copy these into a comment so that they will be permanent with this video. Because as we know, when the live stream is over, the live chats just kind of disappear. And remind you folks that these videos that I've shared with you are videos that come directly from the producer. I've got the link to the videos here in the description box, as well as the links to the producer's channel in the description box if you want to go check out other information that they might have. And these videos that I've shared with you are videos that I've posted here on Murtech.com. Here's the And We Know video that I shared with you. Black Conservative Perspective, right up here, that I shared with you. Devory Darkins, Dr. Steve Turley. All this information's right here. The link to Murtech.com is in the description box, so if you'd like to come over and check this out, I do the surfing for you. I put all this information in one nice little location, a great variety of information on no nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth. The links, as I said, is in the description box. It's a free site. I don't ask for your name. I don't ask for your email address. I don't drop a bunch of cookies on your computer and sell your information. It's just I'm just trying to share out the news so we know what's actually going on behind our backs. Now, I'd like to share all of it with you tonight, but unfortunately I don't have the time to do so. And that's why I've put together my playlist for Murtek's Daily News Wrap-Up. All right, here's the Devory Darkins video and the And We Know video. Got some information from McWater's Effect. It says I have 24 videos here in my playlist and probably about 10 or 11 hours worth of information. Flyover Conservatives, The High Wire with Dale Bigtree, the AI bubble about to crush the stock market. Okay. Monkeypox. And folks, have you heard the thing about the flesh-eating maggots? Okay, some of the stories that I've heard is we had those eradicated, and now all of a sudden these flesh-eating maggots pop up in this calf in Texas. Aren't all maggots flesh-eating? I mean, you see a dead animal along the side of the road, there's maggots on it. If they're not eating flesh, what are they eating on a dead carcass? I don't get it. They're trying to get people all blown out of proportion, bent out of shape over flesh-eating maggots. I believe maggots do eat flesh. As I said, you see a dead animal, there's maggots on it. And if they're not eating flesh, what are they eating? Alrighty, well there you have it. But at any rate, folks, I got a good lineup here for you. But go ahead and take a break right now. Grab a donut and a cup of coffee, or sandwich and a soft drink or a beer, or maybe a nice glass of wine and some cheese, and meet me back here in about 15 or 20 minutes. Give me time to get this set up in Rumble Studio, and we'll get this going. But in the meantime, I do want to thank you for being here with me. Hopefully, I'll get to see you again later, and may God bless.